The owner of the wedding venue took a look at the rotting wooden pier and shrugged. "Looks fine to me." But it wasn't. The middle section was sagging and the boards were 3 steps away from collapsing after barely surviving last month's storm. "I think it's better if we postpone the wedding or move them indoors instead," I suggested. But the owner, Mr. Mitchell, refused. "I've been running this venue for 20 years, and you've been a photographer here for what, 3 years?" He laughed. "That pier has had 3 weddings since the storm. It's perfectly fine." But even from a distance, it was clear that the support beams were cracked and tilting more than usual. And I knew it wouldn't be able to hold the 40 people on the guest list today. Mr. Mitchell stepped closer to me and lowered his voice. "Listen, you're hired to take pretty pictures, not inspect my property. So just smile, do your job, or I'll make sure every vendor in town knows you're difficult to work with." He patted my shoulder and pushed me back towards the pier. During the rehearsal, I watched wood dust fall every time someone walked on the pier. The creaking was so loud that the best man joked about bringing life jackets. Mr. Mitchell just laughed and said it added to the rustic charm. That's when Peter, the maintenance guy, pulled me aside. He showed me photos on his phone of the support beams underneath. They were split completely through. "I don't know about you, but I wouldn't get on that pier and risk it," he whispered. I asked him for copies of the pictures and immediately walked over to Mr. Mitchell to show him the extent of the damage. I even tested the pier with my foot and watched it shift around in front of him, and still he wouldn't budge. "You could drive a car on this pier and it wouldn't fall, so quit pushing me. I swear I'll get you blacklisted from all events in town if you don't just shut up. You're making everyone panic over nothing," he growled. Guests started arriving and taking their seats facing the pier aisle. A few who wanted to get pictures on the actual pier before the ceremony started completely panicked the moment they stepped onto the swaying wooden boards. "Will this be safe for the bride and groom?" they asked me. I could only frown and say nothing. The groom and priest carefully walked onto the pier, wobbling down the aisle awkwardly, trying to balance themselves. Then the music started. The first bridesmaid began walking down the pier aisle, and everyone could hear the wood groaning. The second bridesmaid followed, and the boards visibly bounced with each step. The flower girl took one step on the pier and started crying. "I'm scared." Mr. Mitchell rushed over to the wedding coordinator, who looked just as worried as me, and said, "Get that flower girl moving. We're on a schedule." That's when I heard it. A loud crack, followed by a slow, eerie creaking. Then a small board broke off and splashed into the water below. Guests gasped, and some stood up from their chairs. "Just a loose board. Keep going," Mr. Mitchell shouted. Just as the bride stepped out, I stepped in the middle and shouted, "Stop!" I rushed over and grabbed the flower girl just before the board she was standing on fell into the water. I patted her head before she ran off to her mother. Mr. Mitchell yanked my arm back angrily. "You're ruining my venue's reputation." "I don't give a crap about your reputation," I spat back. I turned my attention to the people on the pier and yelled, "Stay calm. Move one at a time." The bridesmaids nodded, and one of them slowly started backing up towards me. But just as she reached the midpoint, the pier bent down under her feet. She jumped forward just as the entire center crashed into the lake. The altar end continued to tilt as the guests screamed to help them. That's when Peter, the maintenance guy from before, hopped onto a small boat and rowed as quickly as he could towards the end of the pier. The remaining bridesmaid and priest hopped on safely, but before the groom could jump onto the boat, the rest of the pier collapsed, taking him down along it. Everyone screamed out in horror, while a few desperately called 911. The groom's parents yelled at Mr. Mitchell's face as he stood there frozen and pale. I held my breath. As soon as I saw a hand poke out in the water, I dove in to help the groom reach back onto the shore. Officers and paramedics arrived to check on the groom and take statements. Mr. Mitchell tried to shift the blame onto me, saying I'd caused mass panic which somehow weakened the structure, but the photos of the venue before the wedding proved otherwise. He was swiftly charged with 40 counts of reckless endangerment. He lost the venue, declared bankruptcy from the lawsuits, and got permanently banned from running any event space.